have a guest who is very, very special to me. And so tell us, guest, tell us who you are. Tell us who you are and what you do. Anybody who joins a soul session, I ask them those two questions first. And I ask those two questions because those are two separate questions, although we often kind of merge them together. So I want you to tell me, who are you and what do you do?
All right, so I am Shamara Howes, and I am a giver. I am caring. I am daring in certain moments, and I am very unconventional. Um, there's probably not much about me that goes in like the conventional lane. I'm like one of those, everybody wants to go like right, and I'm like, I'm gonna go left. So very, very unconventional. Um, and what I do, I guess that also explains, I'll put in there that I'm creative as well. But I guess that also explains part of what I do. I am a therapist, and a lot of the therapy that I do is play therapy. So yeah, play therapy is not the most conventional way of doing therapy. So yeah.
For sure. Thank you for sharing. And I love that you identified yourself as a creative. I think it was the first, I can't remember, but one of the soul sessions I did previously was mental health and creatives.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times when people think about creatives, they think about your musicians, your dancers, your singers, your songwriters, your photographers and videographers and blah, blah, blah. And so the fact that you identified yourself as a creative and you don't occupy any of those spaces is really great because it helps people see that like a creative doesn't have to just fit in those lanes. You know, like a creative can occupy any space.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about creativity is that you can literally occupy any space. So
Absolutely.
thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you
so
for having me.
yeah. So we're here to talk about play and the power of play. As you know, people think about play when it comes to kids, of course, but play is not age specific.
Right.
And I think that this year, with it being 2020 and just the type of year that it's been, I think that we could all use some more play.
I think so too.
Yeah, we could all use some more play and normalize, playing.
Yeah.
So another way that I always start the time, in a soul session is asking who you are, what you do, but then also asking about any stigma around mental health that an individual has heard or experienced. So if you want to share about stigma regarding mental health, I definitely want you to do that. But I also want you to share stigma that you have heard or experienced around play.
Okay.
So you can do both.
Okay. Okay. So I would say stigma around mental health. I think that there's this idea that something's wrong with you to be able to like engage in mental health. And I'll never forget my grandma. I feel like I always, anytime somebody asks me this, I always think back to my grandma because I know how proud she is of me and what I'm doing. But there's also this disconnect of the service that I'm doing that I mean, I'm very like shameless about. Like, I definitely am a therapist that goes to therapy, and there's no shame in that at all. So I always think about this moment, and I know that she is very proud of what I do, but also, like I said, there's this disconnect of what I do and then me actually going to do it. And so I remember saying to her one time, like, oh yeah, I got a therapy session. And she was like, therapy? What's wrong with you? um, and it's this idea I feel like that people have that you're going to therapy because something is like completely wrong with you, or that you're going to be fixed. And this is not like some fixed idea. That's not what's happening. And so I guess that was like a 2-for-1 in there of like the stigma and an example. But there's really this idea that you're going to be fixed, or even the idea that, just showing up for therapy is like automatic, you'll walk out and everything's going to be okay. And that's not the case. You got to put work in. You showing up is not enough.
That's hard, but
It's great. It's great that you're showing up, but you still have to put the work in. Like, the responsibility still lies on you as this client in this therapist seat. It's not on the therapist. She or he can't fix you. All they're doing is really guiding. So there's the stigma with that. And then I think with play, I think that people do really have this idea that like play is for kids. Like, I feel like people say all the time, like, oh, so and so is childish, or they play too much. And I find myself even sometimes where I'll say stuff or I'll do things, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna grow up one day, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna keep playing. I'm gonna keep playing because I am, and I like to play. I like to laugh. I am very jokey, and so I think that stigma around play is that, like, oh, if you're doing such and such, like, you don't have the capability of an adult. Like, if I'm playing, I can't also be an adult, and one doesn't define the, like, it doesn't go, like, it's just like, come
we
on,
can
I can
coexist,
play,
right?
and be an adult.
Both ends, for sure. Nah, for sure. And I think I told you one time in our conversations, like I was playing with Legos like a few weeks ago, and somebody messaged me on Instagram and was like, "Grow up," and
Yeah.
I was just like, "Nah, I'm good," you know.
Right. It's like you said, they can coexist. I couldn't get the word out, but they can coexist. Like, yeah, it's not one or, it can be and.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. And I think that, like I said, is so important with this year kind of being as stressful and strenuous and unpredictable and overwhelming and all the things that this year has been for so many different people. It's so important that we learn as teenagers, as young adults, as adults,
Yeah.
as the seasoned folks, to
Yeah.
figure out how to incorporate play into our lives.
Yeah.
So tell us from your back from your training and just from the work that you do, what are the benefits of play that you see within kids?
So you do see with kids like strengthen relationships. There's articulation. So I don't know how many people have heard this, because I don't know that like play therapy is this like big thing in other people's world where it's like my life. But there's this saying within the play community that play is children's words, and play is their language and toys are their words. And so as you kind of watch, like, playing is your first language, between like cooing and thing. I mean, like, literally your first language. You're playing peekaboo. Like, kids can't talk, but you engage with, these kids as babies, and they learn like, oh, this is funny, or, oh, this person is engaging with me. Like, they enjoy being with me. Like, because now I'm getting a smile from this person, like, when they're in my face and doing, like, I'm learning how to engage with other people. I'm learning, like I said, just as an infant. And so playing throughout builds on that communication. You learn pro-social skills as a kid, and doing these types of therapies. You get to model for them even things that maybe they're not good at. So if there are some pro-social skills that they're not really good at, like taking turns, maybe I get to show you in session, like, oh, buddy, it's my turn this time. Like, so that you get to like understand like how taking turns really works.
Mm-hmm.
If this is something that like isn't really really well for you. It also helps them kind of build their esteem when I'm, doing that work, because I'm not, there's different types of play. So you can do direct play, or you can do non-directive play. And the non-directive play, that non-directive play is literally me trusting the process that they have. I have to have complete, like, I don't have any control. I literally am giving them complete authority to just kind of be in that moment, and I'm just being with them. So I don't know what I'm going to get, but they're being their complete and total genuine selves, and me being there with them and not kind of directing how they get to do it, where adults outside of this room are going to tell them when they get to go to the bathroom, when they get to go to lunch, how they get to play. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not manipulating anything, any part of this process. So this is also allowing them to just kind of do them. Like, I get to figure this out. I get to problem solving here. I get to, like, I really have to, like, and all I'm doing, the best part is all I'm doing is sitting there kind of echoing what's happening. And I'm teaching, whatever is kind of happening, I'm reflecting or tracking their play. Like, oh man, you was having a really hard time, like, undoing that, but you did such a good job. It took a while, but like, you did it all by yourself. And I'm like, and now they're like, oh my God, I did do this by myself. You're right, Miss House. Like, I was able to open it. You know what I mean? And it's really a beautiful process to just watch them be able to um, heal, and trusting that they have the ability to do that because they're so resilient.
For sure. Kids are so, so resilient. And how do you, so like, that's something that you're able to pick up and assess and figure out, like, okay, what are they doing? What are they showing? And what are
Mm-hmm.
they learning as they play? But
Mm-hmm.
how do you translate that into like adult language? Like when you're working with families, when you're working with parents, and they're trying to understand, like, okay, well, how's my kid doing? Or like, just trying to get updates on the progress.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you translate what you have witnessed in that
Mm-hmm.
space to like what you say to the families?
I mean, just simple and plain. Like, if I see that, like, uh, trying to think of like an example, even like things that maybe families have shared with me when it comes to like diagnostic assessments, and like things that I have in the back of my brain already that like you shared with me as the parent. And maybe this kid can't articulate this, but I'm literally watching them act out a domestic violence scene. That mom is like, I don't know if they, remember because they were so young. And a lot of people have this idea that kids are so young, like they don't remember this or that. And she's like telling me about this moment, but then it shows up in the play. And as it shows up, it's not showing up as your conventional, like, I have a doll here, and this is so and so, and this is so and so. It's showing up as cars. I mean, it's showing up as whatever it is that this kid needs it to be. And so then I watch it, I echo it, I'm reflecting what's going on in this process. And if I'm wrong, because I throw stuff out there, I mean, kids will let you know if you're wrong, you're wrong. But they will tell you, they're honest.
Be
Um,
honest.
so if I'm able to kind of see those things, then I can go back and say, hey mom, like, I noticed this was going on in the session, and I know that you were worried about this, and I want you to know, like, this is something that he's seeing, this is something that he's trying to process. And so I really just explain it. I think when I'm in the room with the kids, the difference is I'm reflecting what is going on, and like tracking the behavior, the play. But when I'm talking to the parents, it's kind of like, now I'm just telling you exactly what it is. Like, this is the actual assessment. Like, and with the kids, it's more like, oh, Diamond, you just pushed your glasses up. Your glasses must have been falling down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's more tracking like that. But when it's with the parent, like, I might say, hey, like, maybe so and so, like Diamond might have to adjust her glasses. Like I noticed that they were falling in session. Like that's how I would like kind of explain it.
Nah, I get what you're saying. I
Yeah,
definitely get what you're saying. So
yeah,
they take a level or an ability to kind of like it's kind of I don't want to say code switching, but like
yeah, yeah,
they have to translate. You know, you
yeah.
speak the language
Basically,
and like speak the family and adult language, which is
right,
really cool.
right.
Um, so why do you feel like, if play is our first language, play is how we learn these social and emotional skills, if play is how we develop attachments
Mhm.
with our caregivers, um, why do you feel like we stop playing?
I think it just goes back again to what I was saying before. Like, I feel like people make it out to be that, like, you can't play and be an adult or grow up. And I've even heard like parents, not just parents that I work with, but like even family members and things say like, oh, you shouldn't be doing such and such at a certain age. And so there's this like timeline that we've created in our heads that like you don't do this at a certain age. So I surely if I'm not allowed to do this, I shouldn't be playing either. Like it's time out for playing because now I'm childish. I play too much. I'm not serious about anything. And so we've created this like timeline of I don't get to do this anymore. And it's a timeline that I don't even know where it came from, but now it's just being passed on and passed on. Like,
For sure. Yeah. And I think that, I think about people who are considered class clowns or, who get a certain label as they get
mm,
older because they play so much.
mm,
And well, I guess class clowns sometimes can be seen as like a good thing, but, like certain labels that people get as they get older, it
mm.
has a negative connotation. So then it perpetuates this idea that like play is wrong or
Yeah.
play is bad at a certain age. And I think that also just kind of thinking about the kids that I work with and their experiences, I think sometimes kids have to grow up too early.
Yeah, that
And
is very true.
yeah, and then that becomes a factor in which there's no room to play because now I have so many responsibilities
Mm.
as a 9, 10 year old, that is really meant for an adult.
Yeah,
But
they become like the parentified, the
yeah,
parentified child. Yeah,
sure, right? Whether
absolutely.
that is, I have to grow up early because I've experienced and I've been exposed to some sort of traumatic
Mhm,
event, or whether that's like a change in the household. And so now I have to pick up, now we went from a 2-parent household to a 1-parent household.
mhm,
So now I'm the older kid and I have to
mhm,
take on these responsibilities, to
mhm.
help out. And then it's like, well, there's no room to play because now I have so much more on my plate that maybe I shouldn't.
Absolutely. I certainly would agree with that. I mean, that being a parentified child, and not even just in those circumstances, even if like a parent has a lot of kids, maybe like that oldest child does become like a parent and not necessarily wanting to, but now it's kind of like I need your help. And it's not fair, but it happens. And it happens often.
Hmm. And I think that, um, when that happens, it can be hard for children to cope with that
Mhm,
adjustment. And I think it can be hard for them to give language to the fact that, this can potentially negatively impact them,
mhm,
and it's so important, I think, even when adults and parents, have children who have to grow up too early for whatever reason,
mhm.
to really understand the power of play and
Yeah.
finding ways to still incorporate space and time for that child to engage in play while maybe having to help or whatever the case may be.
And I was just going to say, even if it's not necessarily a parent where this is a parentified child, but maybe some parents work a lot, and now they come home and they're tired. And so maybe this kid doesn't know how to play because this isn't something that happens in their household. And so if I never was taught, besides like maybe going to school or, but if in my household that we didn't do those types of things, I may not, after a certain age, continue to engage in those types of things because maybe I only did it in a certain setting. And now that this setting is gone, I don't know that this is still appropriate to do because we didn't play in my house, or, maybe my parent was just too busy to really play with me or do certain things. So that could also, I feel like, play a factor in why people may stop playing.
For sure, for sure.
Just don't know how to.
Nah,
um,
that's real. That's very real.
yeah.
So when um, we have these examples of, children maybe growing up early and not knowing how to play, never been taught, there's never been space, whatever. Inevitably, we have adults who don't play.
Right.
What are the benefits of play in adulthood?
Relieving stress. I think that playing certainly, I mean, it leads to, most of the time, play leads to laughter. It could lead to problem solving skills, depending on what it is that you're choosing to play, whether you're playing with someone else too. I mean, it could be an individual thing or something that you're doing with other people, but either way, it can help build on problem solving skills. It can help improve and develop social skills if you are playing with somebody. It definitely improves brain function, like you're thinking while you're playing. Most games, at some point, there's a thought process
Right.
in this game, right? That you're engaging in. So it does help improve and stimulate the mind. Improving relationships. Like there's a lot of benefits to playing, even as an adult.
Mm-hmm. And even, like tapping into your creative side,
Yeah.
when you are playing, whether that's an actual, like a board game, a structured game, or whether that's, like art. And,
Mm-hmm.
we can definitely talk more about specific ways adults can play, but, like that is a way to tap into your creativity,
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
to exercise
Absolutely.
your brain functioning.
And one of the things, I was looking this up on helpguide.org about like playing, but it was also talking about, and I wrote it down to like quote it, but it talked about how play can heal emotional wounds. And I think, one, there's this thing of like play therapy where like we know that it's doing this emotional stuff, but even as an adult where we're not in like a therapeutic setting, it talked about even like maybe playing if there's an insecure partner, with a secure partner, and going back to that teaching pro-social skill, like being able to kind of model like this security, and that secure person being able to model that security for that insecure person may present itself with more positive impact. So now maybe they do have, like, maybe they're being encouraging, maybe the secure person is encouraging while they're playing. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know what this interaction can entail, but it could possibly help that person to replace those negative beliefs and behaviors with more positive assumptions and actions. And so, yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
And I really like that when you talk about relationships, because I feel like that then helps to maybe transform an individual's attachment style.
Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of times when people talk about attachment styles, it's based on like your relationship with your caregiver
Mm-hmm.
when you're younger. But I've read research that looks at how other relationships can transform a person's attachment style.
Yeah.
And so like your attachment, if you have an insecure attachment style because of your parent, that doesn't mean you have to grow up and then all you'll ever have is an insecure attachment style. But
Absolutely.
it sounds like, in changing your attachment style and the way you attach to people, one of the ways to do that is through play.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's absolutely true. One of the trainings that I went to for this model called TheraPlay, which is to help support through play to help support a caregiver and child attachment. And one of the things that they talked about in there was that relationships heal relational trauma. So even though you may have experienced some relational trauma with someone, it doesn't mean that someone else can't come in and model, you know what I mean? Like what this can be like, what this gets to be like, what healthy, you know what I mean? Like what a healthy attachment, a secure attachment can look like. So I definitely believe that to be true.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. And not just like dating, like I
Right,
think
right,
that's
right,
something that can happen even amongst friendships,
right,
to have healthy friendships, and that help to facilitate our ability to connect in our time.
right.
So give me some examples of like what play looks like for adults.
Um, I honestly, I don't think that play looks any different for adults than it does kids. I mean, some games may be childish, but I honestly, Diamond, don't think that play looks any different for adults than it looks for kids. I think that they can definitely, like, adults can definitely use um, similar games. Like, adults can do Jenga, you can play Uno. I'm not going to recommend spades to adults because that seems to have a very negative impact. I don't know how healing that might be. But I think those types of games you can definitely do. I won't rule space completely out because I know people like it. It gets a little competitive. Um,
Oh,
but no, adult like games, like I could see people like, I mean, you can host game nights. Games like Taboo, you can do as adults. You can play puzzles. I know a lot of adults play like different games on their phones. Um, I don't know the names of them, but I know people do them. You can do home decor, you can coloring, has definitely been like a very big thing. Painting, you can do paintballing, you can do axe throwing. I really, really want to do that. It sounds really cool. You could play an instrument. I feel like there is no limit to like those might be like more adult like things that you can do, but I don't think that adults should limit themselves to like this adult like of play that they can't also do some of like the childish things, the childish games as well.
Legos is fun.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoy playing with Legos. Even if, like there's not something specifically like I'm trying to build.
yeah.
And that's cool too, because it makes you think, and it develops those
Hmm.
like maybe problem solving or like critical thinking skills.
Hmm.
But just to like put blocks together, I
Right.
definitely enjoy it.
I'm not gonna lie. So I had I had one of my coworkers. She had the mini what is that game? Bop It. I was
Mhm.
really stressed out one day and she had one and I was like, I'm taking this out of your office because I need it. And I was in my office like, pop it. Yeah, like just going in. And I felt so good after. I felt so good. I was trying to beat her score at one point. Like I was having so much fun doing it and it brought me like that nostalgia. So it was nice. It was
Yeah.
really nice.
And so talk about, like the fact that you were saying like you were so into it. Talk
Mhm.
about I guess the connection with play and mindfulness.
Oh, that was definitely a mindfulness activity. I feel like I was so focused. There wasn't like, of course, my day, like I said, it was very stressful. But I closed my office door. Like this was my time. So, and I knew I needed to really try to regroup And while it was fun, I also was like very like this is very direction specific. I don't want to lose. So I'm listening to what is going on, and anything else that is going on, I've completely tuned out. I'm completely into this game in this moment. And so I think that that definitely was a way to like kind of practice mindfulness in like a fun way. I know some people could look at mindfulness as like a drag, or like, I don't want, like, this is weird. I've had a few people say that before, like, this is weird, like I can't shut everything out, like, and that takes time. It takes practice, a lot of practice, to do. But if that's something that is like engages you in a game, I would say go for it. Because when I say engage, especially because I don't know anybody that like intends to lose. um So, it was very much so like I'm in it. I'm completely here in this game. And once I'm done, now I can return back to whatever, is going on out here. But in this moment, I'm playing this game.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that you can return back to whatever in a more calm or clear-headed
Yeah.
state, I think
Yeah.
that's like when we think about anxiety, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
um like when people are having anxious, this is layered what I'm about to say, but when people are having like anxious thoughts, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
the desire is for the thoughts to just stop altogether. But sometimes what you need is a moment to take a step back so that you
Mm-hmm.
can address whatever thoughts you're having or whatever the situation is. You can address it in a more clear-headed way, in a more calm way. And so play can help you, when you
Right.
feel anxious or when you feel overwhelmed, it can help you stop. And it doesn't resolve everything that's happening,
Mm-hmm.
but you can then approach it in a lighter, clear-headed, more
Right.
functional way.
Right. Absolutely. No, absolutely. Because now I have had this moment to relieve a little bit of stress. I have laughed. You know what I mean? Like I'm releasing endorphins at this point. So my temperament is different
Mhm.
now, from this interaction that I've had with myself.
Right.
That I was able to recognize, and I think that that's a part of it too, being able to recognize when you need those moments to play, knowing when you need those moments to say, you know what, I need to take a break. I need to take a pause, and I need to like kind of step back for a second. Like you said, it doesn't resolve whatever, like me being in this moment of play or me being in a moment of mindfulness doesn't resolve the situation, but it may help me for my next, whatever I'm planning to do next. Now I can go into this in a different mind frame or a different temperament, and the outcome may be different as a result of me not coming in with my initial thoughts, my initial feelings. And now I've had a little time to kind of move silent.
Mm-hmm. And it can put into perspective. I think when emotions are high, it distorts. Not to minimize anybody's situation, but it distorts how big a problem actually is.
Yeah.
Some problems are actually really big.
Right.
But,
Right. Right.
there are some times when you do feel anxious and overwhelmed, and those feelings make something that maybe is not as big into this like huge ginormous thing. And
Yeah.
so being able to play and being able to engage in like a nostalgic moment or a laugh or all the things that play brings can also help you to see like, hey, some of the situations and some of the things that like feel really big to me aren't really that big. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, so I think
I
that that's
have those moments all the time.
same. Same. But yeah, like that's definitely a cool thing about play is that it puts life sometimes into perspective.
Yeah, I listen. I love to play. I think it is part of the reason why I am, able to move throughout my day to day. I'm gonna laugh at something like something. I'm gonna play. I make that a part of what I do, and even some of the things. I know we're in the middle of COVID now, but even in my office, some of the things that the kids play with, I play with. Like I had my own Orbeez, the water beads. And so I created this like water ocean bath type thing, and I put like little sea animals in it. But there were moments where I needed to put my hands in there. And I'm like, okay, like this is in here for them. And I see what it's doing for them, and I know the effects of this, like this cooling sensation. Like I get it. I think I may also need to like put my hands in here and just kind of be
Mm-hmm.
in that moment. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I was telling you this weekend about Operation, and actually, once we finish this conversation, I'm going to go play with Operation to prepare for work, but also, just have a good time for myself. Like, period. Um,
right.
so
No,
yeah, so,
absolutely.
no, I definitely agree. Like, we can definitely do it as kids, as teenagers, as adults. And I think when you think about playing as seasoned folks, like that definitely helps them stay young. And I
Oh
think
my gosh.
like to play with like don't just allow older people to just get old and just
Diamond, if you don't get out of here with this.
I'm
Um,
kidding.
so today it's so funny that you said that because I was thinking about this earlier, like just before I got on this call, and I was thinking about play and like, just kind of thinking of some things. And earlier today I actually called my aunt. I was calling to speak to her kids, but they were unavailable.
Okay.
Um but my mom, my aunt, my grandma, and my grandma's sister, my great aunt, they were all there.
Mhm.
And I made a joke. And I was like, they're all sitting at a table, all like across from each other. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? About to play spades? And they're like, no, they were about to play some game, something up. My mom said it was something like categories that we do play as a family during Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And I was like, "Oh, what are y'all playing that for?" And my aunt was about to like make up something, and my grandma was like, "They want us to stimulate our minds." It's like, "Oh, okay." And it really like after the fact, like some hours later, now it hit me, and I was like, "This was really nice that they went over there to play with them." And and trying to stimulate, like we talked about that a minute ago, like just stimulating the mind, and they are older. And
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that they don't want to play games. And they do need that.
Yeah, for sure.
They need that,
Whether that's, for physical reasons and like, stimulating the mind, but also stimulating the body, like
Yeah,
getting the body up and moving and the muscles and all those things.
right.
And I think that, that's why sometimes older adults and babies like click so well, like that playfulness, that lighthearted.
Yeah,
I think it's refreshing for older adults. And sometimes we just kind of like let them grow. And it's like, no, they
right,
need that.
right. And that,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that did something for me today. I was just like, oh my God, like I went over there to go play with him. It's like, that's
Yeah.
so nice. Because people do forget that it doesn't matter. They still want to play too.
No, for
Um,
sure.
and they enjoyed it. And that definitely warmed my heart today.
I love that. Yeah. So play with your older family and friends. Whoever watch this, don't neglect
Don't leave them out.
them. Yes. So tell me
Mm,
what I want. So we have something special to share at the very end of this, but I want you to provide a demonstration of what play can look like. We talked about some of the different things that we can do, but I want you to provide a demonstration of play.
okay, I got you. Give me
Okay.
1 second.
Okay. And so, yes, guys, we have something very special to share at the very end of this because we don't want to just tell you, play is important and we don't want to just say, now go play, but we want to be able to support and facilitate that. But before we share that, yes, go ahead with your demonstration.
Am I allowed to show either one, or is there? Okay. I'm gonna show. I think I'm gonna do this
Okay.
one. Because I thought this was so cool. One of my coworkers had this at we did like something for the school program that our partnership that we had, and we all had like this big sensory table, and I had never seen anything like this. It's called a flow ring.
Okay.
And it gets very tricky, but with like patience, I think really this little thing takes a lot of patience, but it's very satisfying once you figure out how to work it. So initially it will come like this.
Okay.
And I know you're probably like, what are we gonna do with that?
Yeah.
Like this looks complicated. But I'll show it off camera first. But once you figure it out, it gets to like flow and like do these sorts of things down your arm. And it's definitely satisfying, but I think the challenge comes when you're trying to like figure out, how do I like fit this through my arm. And one of the things I think that in play, we talk about like problem solving and like, this enjoyment, like some people may find this satisfying. I know I certainly did. It was like, ooh, I finally got it. Like now I can make it slide down my arm, because it did take me a second.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this problem solving of like, how do I figure this out? And then once you know how to do it, it's kind of like, oh, okay, like maybe I'm just using this to like kind of flow, down my arm for whatever reason you may like the sensation of it. Maybe it's not the fact that you were able to problem solve and figure out how to get it down to this shape so that you could put it on your arm. Maybe it's about the sensation, the feel that's happening for you. I don't know, maybe you have a friend that you want to like slide it to, like, Diamond, if I could slide it to your arm through the screen, right? um, Maybe you guys find it fun together to be able to incorporate with somebody else, but it's definitely something that's playful that like you just get to use. It's
Mm-hmm.
fun.
Talk about this like sensory, like I guess explain that a little bit more. Like I know that, for people or for kids who maybe have ADHD, or maybe are on the spectrum, or just in general, like you don't
Yeah.
have to have like a
Yeah.
certain diagnosis, but like, we intentionally find things that are like stimulating to our senses for kids. But tell me, if you can, the importance of, I guess, engage or having things that are like stimulating to our senses as adults.
Mm-hmm. I think, and again, I think I'm just one of those people that are like, there is no discrimination against adults and kids. I feel like it's for both. I feel like adults like we have this touch, like we just within our senses there's this touch, and I feel like everybody likes different touch. Some people like things that are soft, like when it comes to even like stress balls. Some people like stress balls that are like the regular like circle balls. Some people like the ones that have the little pricklies on the end. And I think it's about identifying what your senses need, like what feels comfortable to you, what feels safe to you, what feels soothing to you. And so I think as adults, like, yeah, maybe you do or don't want to use like a flow ring or something. Maybe you find interest in like a regular like stress ball. Maybe you want to have a stress ball that has some texture to it. And I think a lot of it, as I say, I don't think that it's about adult or child. I think it's just about what that person feels comfortable with when it comes to touch, what feels safe. Depending on their experiences too, like what feels safe for me to touch. Um,
And
do
not
I like hot or cold? Like we don't know what kind of sensations or things that may come up for someone. And so it really just depends on, I think it definitely depends on the person.
for sure, and not even just touch, right? So noise or
Mm-hmm.
smell, like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times adults are more like privy to aromatherapy and like
Mm-hmm.
that type of stuff, but like finding sensory things that are more than just smell but also
Mm-hmm.
touch. And I know people are like the, what is it, ASMR or something like that,
It's
the
just
noise, like people like find it soothing to hear other people like chewing or
Oh, I don't know
I,
anything about that.
yeah, I think it's totally wild. For me, it's not.
Yeah, no, it is for me too.
It don't do it for
That's
me.
one of my pet peeves, to be honest.
Same. I don't like hearing people eat. But yeah, there's something called like ASMR. Yeah, and so like that's become a thing, even if it's not like chewing, but people are feel relaxation from like hearing certain things. So whether it's like a brush or
Mm-hmm.
tapping or something, like,
Mm-hmm.
like that's stimulating to the senses and
Yeah.
calming for some people. Um,
Yeah,
but show me do you have the other?
I do.
Please show us.
So
What?
this is a an expandable ball. I'm sure you've seen these. I feel like anywhere. I've seen them at like the Thanksgiving Day parade on like the little trucks with all the little. I hate to say annoying, but they are really some annoying noises. The horns. Somebody might find them therapeutic. I don't know.
Mhm.
But they really, it's fun to look at, but I like to use them. Of course, the kids like see it and they're like, oh, let's throw it, you know. But I use it a lot of time also to help them like learn how to breathe. Like, so we'll take some deep breaths and I'm like, oh, when it expands, like as slow or as fast, like, we'll breathe in. And this could be something that you use even as an adult, like, okay, maybe I need to take some breaths. And so I'm, kind of pulsating this expandable ball to breathe in and exhale when I see it go back in. And I mean, of course, if somebody's watching and they have kids and you want to make it more fun, and you think this is also something cool, like you could, take it. Like sometimes I go, oh, let's see how slow or fast we can breathe. And I'm like letting it go so super slow or so super fast, and they find it fun. But I think as an adult, if you're just looking for something to just help you, like, because sometimes I think that people may also find it hard just doing deep breaths. And so sometimes, and that's why I say adults really are not limited to play, because I think sometimes adults even, I talked about this before, that play is the language of kids and toys are their words, but sometimes adults don't have words. And so I think sometimes adults even struggle with the language that they need or want to use, or being able to do certain exercises. It's not just a thing for kids. And I think that this is definitely an illustration to say, okay, this is what needs to happen when I breathe in. This is how slow or fast I need to go when it comes to me really regulating the breath. And this is also going to help me keep my mind on the breath, because now I need to know that when this is expanding, I have to pay attention to, like, I can't breathe all fast and I'm slowly opening it up, because now I'm not regulating and I'm not in sync with what's happening with this ball. So
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
thank
So
you.
thank you for sharing that, and thank you for doing a demonstration for both of them. So to wrap it up, well, before we share, is there anything else that you would want to um, add, share?
I would just say get out there and play. It is shameless. If you're not playing, you are missing out on an experience that maybe you get to have with yourself, to just be in tune, to even say, like, what even do I like to play? Like, maybe you, like I said before, maybe you don't know how to play. And maybe this is your time to like kind of figure out, like, what do I like to do when it comes to games, or what is it something that I'm interested in. And it doesn't have to be just with you. You can play with your partners, like your romantic partners. You can play with your family, your kids, your friends. Um, don't stop playing as an adult. It doesn't end at 13. Now you're a teenager and don't play anymore. Continue to play.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing this space with me, and thank you for sharing your expertise.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so as a part of this, we are doing a play box giveaway. So in this play box, Shamara and I have been thinking about some games that like are nostalgic for us in our generation. And so, we're giving away 2 play boxes. And we will be having bubbles. Bubbles is definitely fun, for all ages. And it can also be like a mechanism and a method to engage in breathing.
Mhm.
Breathing, I think we take for granted how
Yes.
helpful breathing is.
Yes.
So, we will have bubbles in the giveaway box. We will have, one person will have a mini bop it. Okay, so we're not giving you the full, we're going to give you the mini, but it's still fun. It's still fun.
It gets the job done.
Period. And that's what matters. So a mini bop it, a mini Simon Says, so where you have to follow the colors and figure out the pattern. Those are some of the toys that we grew up with. I don't know if that says anything about our age, but they're fun. Um, so one of the play boxes will have that. One will have the expandable ball, and one will have the flow ring. So be on the lookout for how you can participate in this giveaway and maybe be one of the lucky winners. And if
Yes.
not, we hopefully we have given you some ideas and shared some ideas of like how you can incorporate play into your life. And I don't believe that play has to be super time consuming.
Mm-mm.
I think that play can be a little part of your day and maybe really change the trajectory of how your day goes just because you took time for yourself to play. So get out there and play or stay inside, COVID.
Or
Um,
stay inside.
but just
Find
play.
some inside games to do.
Yes, not facts. Yeah. So once again, thank you for sharing this space. How can
No,
people find you? Like, if they want to know more about what you do, how can
Um,
you?
so if you want to find me, you can look up on Instagram. It is Howze, Howze, like a question. It's Howze Mara, Mara. And I find me on social media on Instagram.
Yeah, she be giving gems about like, little demonstrations. Woman of God is a demonstrator, okay? She be giving
I am a demonstrator.
we love it. We love it. But yeah, so she gives demonstrations, little fun things with shaving cream and all of it. So definitely find her.
We were not shaving legs. We were not.
Right, we're not shaving any part of the body, but we're using shaving cream, and it is fun. Okay. Um, so yes, so find her, bookmark her stuff, share her stuff, because you never know who it can help.
Yeah.
So, as we finish, I want to end with gratitude. So, tell me one thing that you are grateful for in this moment.
I'm grateful to kind of, I think, expand just within this space that we've done today. I think that I'm really grateful to share more with adults on how to just enjoy and incorporate play. That there's a discussion about play not just being some way to like really just have fun, but that it's facilitating communication, it's fostering emotional wellness, it's enhancing your social relationships and increasing your personal strengths. And so I think that being able to look back on that and say, I'm not just doing this, and share it in a space to say, I'm not, like, I want people to understand it's not just I'm playing a game. This isn't just some silly thing that you're doing. You're participating in a whole wellness space when you're playing. And I don't know that adults understand that that's exactly what's going on, but it is. And I'm grateful to be able to share that tonight in such a way.
I love it. Yeah. Like you are definitely, when you engage in play, you are facilitating your well-being.
Yeah.
People post and talk about the inner child and all that other stuff, and maybe you're helping your inner child, and you're helping yourself as an adult.
Yeah.
You're just helping.
Yeah,
So yeah, thank you for sharing.
absolutely.
I guess I'll say what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful to be well and to share this space with you and to be able to connect with people who can kind of push the needle forward in the conversation about mental health and mental wellness, even in the unconventional ways.
Yeah,
So definitely
the,
grateful for
un-
the
the
community.
unconventional ways.
Yes, for sure. Well, for those who choose to watch, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you take something away from this, not just what you hear, but I hope that you from this take create a plan for yourself of how to play, how to laugh, how to enjoy life,
Yeah,
um, because we need it. So thank you all.
especially now.
Yes, especially now. So thank you all again, and I will see you in the next soul session.